loving heart against cursed magic, ever after. As Aislynn's heartbeat settled back into a slow, steady rhythm, she heard the soft patter of footsteps and the rustle of uniforms in the hallway. Her bedroom door opened, letting in Talia, tea, and the beginning of the day. Aislynn would not mention last night's dream. She forced a smile and sat back on her bed, smoothing her nightgown tightly around her stockinged feet and legs. Just another secret to keep. "Good morning," said Talia as she set the tray down on the vanity and pulled back the curtains, inviting bright spring sunlight into the bedroom. From behind, the fairy godmother barely looked like a person, more like a soft triangle in her wimple and loose robes. As was traditional, her uniform hid all but her hands and face. She returned Aislynn's smile, only hers was easy and sweet, the corners of her green eyes crinkling. "What would my lady like to wear today?" Talia asked, dropping sugar cubes into the tea with two soft plinks before opening the massive wardrobe to reveal the dozens of blue dresses inside. Without waiting for a response, the fairy godmother retrieved two gowns. The one she passed to Aislynn was a cotton periwinkle dress that had been worn dozens of times. Pretty and simple. The other dress Talia hung carefully next to the mirror. It was exquisite. Made of a rich satin, the vibrant sapphire color was slightly muted by a layer of organza across the massive skirt. Blue lace and delicate beading decorated the long sleeves and high collar that were customary for a young lady from the northern kingdom. But it wasn't the sleeves or the neckline that had Aislynn's attention. It was the rose. Now that she was 16, it would be embroidered on each of her gowns, a rose in perfect bloom over her heart. Disappointed that she had to wait until the evening to wear the beautiful gown, Aislynn stepped into the cotton day dress. Talia tended to the endless line of buttons down its back, and Aislynn did her best not to flinch each time her fairy godmother's fingers brushed against bare skin. No matter the warmth of the room or the heat of the season, Talia's hands, like all fairy godmothers, were frigid. The morning bell rang just as the last button was fastened. Slipping into her shoes, Aislynn followed Talia out of the bedroom and down the stairs to breakfast. 4 years at Narrator Academy, but to Aislynn it had never felt anything like a home. Until a girl was settled into her married life, everything else was only temporary. It was best not to get attached, and the academy made it easy. Everything was stone, hard and bleak. Though northerners were fond of embellishments, the only decorations the headmistress tolerated were the enormous tapestries. The one outside the dining hall portrayed a young woman with her head arched back, her mouth open in a silent scream. Between the hands, crossed over her heart, was a tangle of briars tearing through her chest, bloodying her fingers. She had black hair like Aislynn's. The familiar sounds of gossip and laughter floated into the corridor as Aislynn made her way into the dining hall. At the sight of the lone figure seated at the farthest corner table, she walked a little faster. Maris didn't look up when Aislynn approached. Her attention focused on the blonde curl she was twisting between her fingers. Her other hand was tracing the embroidered rose on her yellow dress. "Morning," Aislynn said as she took the seat opposite her friend. "Morning," was the sullen response. There was a burst of laughter from across the room where the other more favored girls were seated. Maris cast an envious look in their direction. Guilt filled Aislynn's chest. Someone should have told Maris when she had arrived at Narrator last season that offering friendship and kindness to someone like Aislynn meant sacrificing her own social standing within the academy. Selfishly, Aislynn was glad for Maris's misstep. At least now they had each other. She cast a covert look behind her, where half a dozen girls were seated separately, their heads down, trying not to draw any attention to themselves. The room grew silent as the headmistress entered the dining hall, followed by a line of equally stern-faced teachers. Their robes were nearly identical to the ones fairy godmothers wore, except for the embroidery over their hearts. Aislynn crossed her wrists over her chest as Madame Odette led them all in the morning prayer. "May our hearts be modest and our steps unwavering, ever after."